Good to go. Okie dokie, Koduelka time. Alright, folks. Here we go. Kicking off Retro Gaming Live here with the event here for RPG Gauntlet, Quest for Good RNG with Koduelka. A very interesting RPG, turn-based tactical RPG. I have on comms with me D Eagle. Introduce yourself.
Oh, you guys have heard my voice quite a few times.
Yeah. How familiar are with Koduelka? I know you've seen.
I know the name of an enemy.
You know the name of an enemy. Yeah, probably, because you probably heard me talk about that enemy quite a few times.
The one I mentioned to you, I know from someone else, but
yeah,
I have enjoyed your story of.
I mean, Gugga's not bad, but we'll get to see him later. All right, so before every run, I have to swap the config here for menu on triangle and circle on run, just because that's what I'm comfortable using instead of the default. And so there's a good chance that I'm going to end up resetting at the start once we get in here. But that's because I have a low percentage RNG check 5 minutes into the run before the first boss. Because this is basically a boss rush for the entirety of the game. But anyways, timer is going to start here in a moment as soon as I hit new game. And hopefully we won't need to use one of the backup saves. But here we go in 3, 2, 1. Off we go. But anyway, so this is Koduelka. It's a Sakanoth RPG. Sakanoth no longer exists. It's also the prequel to Shadow Hearts, if you're familiar with that series. Very, very cool RPG. Very heavy RNG as far as an RPG goes. And we start off right by skipping a cutscene at the start here into a boss fight with a werewolf. And a decent werewolf is 3 cycle with high damage rolls, but so far it's been pretty low damage rolls, so we'll probably get a 4 cycle. Or a 4 turn, I should say. It's not great, but is what it is. Yeah, so probably gonna be a 4. If the next hit rolls low like that again, it'll probably be 5, which is even worse. But thankfully it was the standard 4. You can 2 average or low rolls plus 2 medium rolls. And you should get through. So we have our first enemy down here. Uh-oh, why did that timer stop? Oopsie daisy. I love how that timer stopped for me. 1 sec. Oops. There we go. Fixed. Alright, anyways.
Global hotkey memes?
Yeah, global hotkey memes. I did not mean to hit that hotkey. But anyways, so we have our character here, Edward, as our second party member of the game. We're going to get a third one very shortly here. But there's gonna be a lot of beautifully theatrically voice acted cutscenes here, in which we get introduced to all of the characters and the story throughout this game. This game is basically fully voiced, which is a pretty rare thing for its time, being early PlayStation, or well, I wouldn't say it's that early in PlayStation. I think it came out mid to late PlayStation era. Forget exactly when it came out, actually, off the top of my head, but yeah, it's like peak 90s voice acting. All theatrical performers as well, so that's why the voice acting is actually really good. So, more cutscenes that we're skipping here. We get introduced to the caretakers of the estate. So Koduelka, character that we're playing, main character that we were playing as at the start there, gets called here by a spirit. She doesn't know exactly what she's doing here, and then runs into Edward, who's a thief trying to make some money off the poor bastard that owns the estate, and then runs into that monster that we took care of. When we met the caretakers, they offer some potato soup. Delka doesn't eat it, but Edward sure does. And moans and complains about his belly aching because they tried poisoning him. I mean, it's kind of a horror game in itself as well. So now we're going to be navigating over here, and we're going to be doing the RNG check that I mentioned that's like 5 minutes into the run. By picking up the 2 weapons here. We're going to grab this Lissel, which is a mana restore. And most of your healing items in this game are all alcohol beverages. So that'll be a nice thing.
It's a form of healing.
Yeah. Alright, so moment of truth. Am I resetting? Technically, yes. So this is where we'll do a soft reset. Timer's gonna still keep running, but yeah, this would be the soft reset that I was talking about that we have to do.
Is it possible to do any kind of save scumming here, or can you not save before that?
I have a backup save before you can actually make a save, but what this game allows you to do is what they call temporary saves, and those can be done at specifically certain rooms that are considered safe zones. So you can have 1 temporary save per memory card, essentially. So I have two potential ones set up. I'm trying to get a natural decent roll to start. If this next one fails, I'll load the backup, but essentially it'll put me right after the werewolf fight so that we don't lose too much more time than a few minutes there. But essentially, if you want to know how bad the RNG can get sometimes on average, typically you could spend half an hour or more doing resets from the start here. Just to do that first 5 minutes of the game to do your first check. After that point, though, if you get past it, everything else is manageable. Combat is pretty well solved, everything else like that. You also can't run from boss fights, so we actually use that to skip through our turns faster, because it auto-fails the run. But we have to remember, because our muscle memory is bad, that you want to manually wait turns for encounters that we do want to take later, which will be at a few different points.
It's taking me back to some like FF8, FF9, especially 8 kind of stuff, where you run so that since you spend most of the run on like caution, low health, you don't want to wait for them to like get up and attack. You just
well, since this game's entirely turn-based and it's tactical as well, like you have to move your characters around like on a chessboard, which we'll see when we get to the formation screen. Exactly that. Yeah, this first 5 minutes where you check the RNG on the 2 possible weapons that you're picking up and hoping for at least something usable out of the 9 elemental rolls that you can get, normal being one of them. The only ones we don't want to see are Dark, Light, Mystic, and Vitality. Those just generally are not good against any of the enemies, especially early on. We want particularly an actual element, preferably fire and water at the same time for both weapons. Fire allows us to quick kill the first boss in a couple turns because it does absurd damage against him. And the fire and water weapon together are useful on the second boss. And we'll explain more of that once we get to there. But so hopefully this will be a good RNG roll, and we won't have to use one of my 2 really not great backups, but at least it'll get us at a disc 1. So I've gotten really good at just getting used to the fact that you're not going to sit here and reset for many hours at a time, and usually I do it once or twice, or attempt to continue a run even if you don't get great rolls, just because the like I said, the RNG is abysmally bad at the start. Everything's much better once we get going, though. Still lots of RNG, so hey, all this time that we're losing here, we could theoretically, if the rest of the RNG starts being nicer, could swing in our favor quite a bit and gain us a bunch of time. Alright, so grab both the weapons again and then check them at the same time. When we go to equip, and then hopefully there'll be something usable. And then we'll have a legitimate run. Earth and normal. Oh, it's usable, so we'll have to swap to the normal pipe there. But at least we have something usable in a normal circumstance. So this is what I meant about the formation screen. There were literal chess pieces. Edward's marked by the knights, and Koduelka is marked as the queen. And that allows us to know which pieces are where on the formation screen for when we go into fights. Alright, so we're gonna move Koduelka all the way up here into the corner. This fight's gonna take a little bit longer because we don't have the fire weapon that we'd be using here normally, but we have a weapon that's usable at least. For both this fight and the next. And then after that, we don't really care too much about these weapons. So at least I didn't have to use the backup. That's nice.
Always feels nice to get a runnable start.
I do have a fire
weapon.
I do have a fire water weapon start, but it's on my actual PS2 memory card, which I'm not currently using right now because this is just a little bit more convenient to capture and is better quality.
Yeah.
So yeah, this fight's gonna take a little bit of extra, like about another minute or so to do. We have that extra. We have that Lissel and the potion as well, which will be useful in case we need it for Edward here.
So see, it looks like if you had the fire elemented pipe there with Edward, you'd be doing almost like double the damage.
He'd be hitting for like 500 or more. Which is funny, because this boss only has like 1000 HP, so you'd be dead in like two hits. I was like, that's kind of how like wild the damage is right here, because we are fighting this boss at level 1, which you're not supposed to do. So it's a little scary. So we need to use the Lissel here just so Koduelka has more MP to cast Flare again. And then we're going to use the potion that we have on Edward so that he doesn't die to poison or the next melee hit, just to play it safe. And then go back here and cast another Flare. So we've dealt about just over half his HP almost at this point. So it should be only a few more hits. Like, fire damage is just what really makes this boss easier to kill here. One more hit, I guess. There we go. Boss done. Okay, cool. Alright, so we're going to level up our int and intelligence there, and then we're going to do 2 dex 2 agility on Edward. And Edward's going to become our meat shield as we go through the run. So it's going to take all of the hits for us. And now we get to talk to James and get a third party member, and we're still like within the first 10 minutes of the game. We have our entire crew already. Any questions up at this point, or you'd like to ask or like mention about the game or something like that? So now it's just beeline to the next boss and level up James with us. Also, Koduelka hates stairs. That'll be something you'll see constantly, where she like refuses to climb stairs quickly. Alright, and we need to readjust our formation. So we're going to move James up here, swap back to Koduelka, move her over 1. And then we continue on here. So we gotta get into 2 fights to get James to level 2, so he's caught up everybody. You have a question? How am I? I'm doing wonderful. As wonderful as I can be, knowing that Koduelka could just RNG'th me at any point. But, you know, so far pretty good. Alright, so this fight we're going to wait it out, and we're just going to have Edward and James here come in and whack the bugs. I need to do 2 fights, preferably with at least 2 enemies each, just so we get enough experience to level up. And we have to remember that we want to wait the turns out, rather than attempt to do any what we normally do when we are in boss fights, to skip through turns faster. So this is like technically slower, but it just do be like that. Also, I can't, because we're on a grid, I can't like have James get to the other side of Koduelka and Edward like I was hoping, because they're blocking them. He's being blocked in by them, because again, like, everything works like kind of like a tactical chessboard. You gotta play a bit of like a tug-of-war as well, so the furthest forward enemy is the furthest that you could advance in front of. They can't go past you, and you can't go past them unless the enemy or your farthest forward character is down. So what that actually means is if we have a character that dies in combat and the enemy walks past them, which they can do, and hopefully we never see that, we will not be able to revive that character. You really have to play smart in order for that not to happen. Pick up another Lissel here in case we need the MP. It's a bit of a rough start here. They have some safety items at least. We still need one more fight here before the second boss already. Want to be at least level 2 for the second boss. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, seems reasonable. So, that text that pops up on the bottom, is that like a autosave?
Yeah, that's that temporary save I told you that we can make. Okay. When that shows up when you enter an area with the S in the circle, that's when you know you can make the temporary save on your file. You can only have one, so you got to make that temp save count, because the only way you can actually make a legitimate save in a regular save slot like a normal RPG is to save at like a save fountain in this game, and those are only accessible by defeating the boss.
Huh.
So you have to earn them. Which also makes, you know, saving progression difficult in this game. Alright, so we'll get James to level 2 right after this fight. Also, slightly faster if we can attack from head-on, but the problem with attacking head-on is that you have a chance to knock back the character, which means that you have to get closer to them. So that can pose a bit of an issue in some situations. If there's an enemy we want to target down, but they get knocked back behind another forward enemy. So again, just kind of have to play things a little smart. All right, so 3 enemies down. You know, thankfully, early on like this, we can one-shot most of the early enemies here. It's not a big deal, at least with the melee weapons. So James gets to level 2, and we just go dump it straight into agility. We also picked up a dirk behind a painting earlier. Holy, that's a lot of whiskey. That was a lot of whiskey. Oh boy. That was like 9 whiskeys. All right. Anyways.
So what sort of healing is whiskey?
Whiskey is a Phoenix down in this game.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Character's dead on the ground, gaping holes and wounds. Just pour some whiskey on it. They'll get up in no time. Whiskey fix all in this game. So interesting thing we have to do with this boss is we have to fortify the red trio here. It's 3 bosses. We have to fortify its vitality. So when you are casting a buff on an enemy, it counts as a debuff. And since the red trio has double the HP of the other trios, like the most HP, we want to buff his HP to shrink his HP bar, essentially, if that makes any sense. So that's essentially what we're doing here. I have to remember too that James has the earth pipe, and since the other enemy here, I believe, is earth element. I could be wrong, actually. I can't remember if he's wind or earth. But I gotta be careful with the what elements I have on my weapons. I believe he's wind, actually, so I should be safe to be able to hit them with this pipe or this hammer. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that straight up just killed him. Awesome. Okay. Apparently I have his weakness, and I completely forgot about it. It's not often that I have an earth weapon coming in to this fight to just knock one of the trios out like that. Again, they don't have a lot of HP, just the red guy has the most HP. This is not like that hard of a fight. It's usually an attrition battle. And since Koduelka is placed at a certain point in the fight, they usually always target her, and she takes reduced damage. And then we're gonna fortify it one more time on the red trio, and that should cut his HP down basically in half. And then meanwhile, yep.
So is there like a circle of elemental resistances and weaknesses?
It's like a 1-for-1 thing. So it's like fire is weak to water, water weak to fire. You know, that kind of.
Oh, so
it's very simple.
Like FF10.
Yeah, it's a very simple elemental thing to keep track of. The only difference is Vitality and Mystic do not do what you think they do. I'll let you guess what they do, just to humor everybody. What do you think Vitality and Mystic as an elemental role does?
I mean, you know, as a Final Fantasy speedrunner, Vitality obviously is, you know, going to give you like more HP and toughness and stuff like that, defense. And
yeah. If you hit somebody with a melee Vitality weapon, you're gonna heal them. So what would be the opposite of that? That's basically Mystic for you. I don't know why those are a thing in this game, but they are. Also, we have to reload Koduelka's gun. Because, you know, guns have ammo.
Oh, that's interesting, reload being actually part of the
Yeah, the reloads are
Actions.
part of the mechanics for ranged weapons, because to kind of balance out ranged weapons, because they can be pretty strong and you can use them at a safe distance, they require ammunition. And since I'm using a revolver, I only get 6 shots before I have to reload, and we've used 4 of them, remember, back in the werewolf fight, and then we used 2, and then we just used 2 earlier. So that's what was going on there. And thankfully the red trio moved over, so that means we can put Edward in position here.
That's neat. Like, it doesn't automatically reload you between battles or anything.
No, you have to manually reload it.
Is it possible to reload outside of battle?
Yes, yeah, you can reload outside of battle. It's a little bit more tedious to do it outside of battle, though, because there's 1 extra sub-menu to go into. This will be the last time you use the gun, though, but yeah, red trio's down, so we're all good there. Alright, so Koduelka and Edward will get a level here. We're just gonna dump 2 and 2, and then we're gonna do 1, 3. Grab that. And then continue on. So we picked up a ring, a tabard. It's like a polearm weapon. Essentially a big hammer. We're gonna grab this other listle here for safety later, in case we need it. And then the other weapon, the rapier, we don't really care about. There'll be a cutscene in here, and then we're going to do a little bit of light equipping. We're no longer going to be using that revolver that we've had with Koduelka. We're going to be equipping that dirk that we picked up behind that painting earlier. And then we're going to be equipping the ring that we just got here to swap Koduelka into being a more powerful magic user. Because magic is very, very strong in this game. And there's a mummy in the closet! Yeah, so we have to open the closet to get a rope bridge, but yeah, our next boss is here. So we're 3 bosses in already. I'm not gonna lie though, the mummy, the first time I played this game, actually scared me. You're just not expecting a mummy in the closet.
Yeah. I mean, that's not where you store your mummies?
Usually, no. Yeah, usually that's not where I would store my mummies, no. Alright, so we're just gonna hold her there by moving our 2 other characters up. And then we're gonna hope that we don't get silenced, because from now on, any enemies that target Koduelka have a higher and higher chance of silencing her when they cast magic. So we're just hoping that that's not the case, because Koduelka is essentially going to be the glass cannon of the group. Edward's going to be the meat shield, and then James gonna be James. He's moral support, comic relief, more or less. And we got silenced, so that's not great. And I don't have a panacea, so yeah, we have to wait it out. Or we can just tell the boys to go to Pound Town here. And hopefully not break these weapons. Because we still need them for one fight. Because, yeah, melee weapons have durability in this game, so that's another fun thing. Yeah, I don't know how fast the silence is going to wear off, but I'm not going to hit her anymore. I should have her lower enough that once the silence wears off, Koduelka can hopefully turn fast enough to kill her. I really need the sounds to peel off here. It can take a lot of turns sometimes for status effects to fall off.
What is the, like, range of turns it could take?
It depends on our stats. I believe it's a combination of your mind and piety stat in this game that affects your magic resistance and the duration of, like, status effects. It also affects some other things as well. Alright, I finally healed off there. This next spell will take care of her for us. So not a super great start right now. But like I said, RNG can swing us back in our favor once we get to the start of Disc 2. There's a bit of a farming section that if that goes well and we get some upgrades out of it, then could peel into some really good time. It's 2 and 2. I forget what I need to do with Edward here. It's 4. Okay, so we need to open the closet again. Grab the rope bridge, or ladder, I guess, out of here. And then go open this door. And then we're going to use that to climb down to the lower level of the dungeon here. Because, of course, under this lovely estate is a dungeon. And we're skipping a cutscene where we meet a ghost who tries to make us walk off the edge and fall to our death.
It's friendly, welcoming ghost.
Yeah, it's Casper the Friendly Ghost, or in this case, unfriendly. Ghost's name is Charlotte. We'll run into her again very, very soon. She just really doesn't like visitors here right now. So I'm going to open my menu before I forget, and we're going to go ahead and equip the other ring that we just got off that boss to Koduelka. Go through this door. And if you're familiar with, like, Resident Evil games, yeah, we're playing with tank controls as well, so that's fun. And much like Resident Evil games, we have a lot of backtracking and key items to pick up and use and solve things with. Also, another boss. This is boss number, what, 4 or 5 already? Or not even out of disc 1?
This is 4.
Yeah, this is boss 4. We're not even out of disc 1 yet. Like, we're like only like 30 minutes in. So it's like, yeah, it's like I said, I wasn't lying when it's mostly a boss rush for an RPG. That was a short move, but that's fine.
Oh wait, does the werewolf count as a boss? Because if so, we're actually at 5.
Yeah, so werewolf technically counts.
Okay, then 5.
Alright, so we need to kill James in the back with Flare. Should take about 2 flares here. These are doppelgangers of us. So there is as strong, if not stronger than us, technically. And we're hoping that they all just target Koduelka, because if they hit James or Edward, we could be in trouble. And they pretty much always go for Koduelka, but we want to be very careful. And so another flare here. I can't move. If I move Edward too close to Koduelka, that puts him at risk of getting hit by the level 2 magic that the doppelganger Koduelka can cast, which will hit both of them. Which is not good, because that does a lot of damage. She'll specifically use a level 2 flare if they're too close to each other. And to level up magic to get to level 2, you have to use it a lot. Because there's proficiencies in the game, so every spell and every type of weapon in the game has a proficiency stat attached to it.
You mentioned that Koduelka is pretty much going to be just casting for the rest of this. Will you get any of those spell upgrades by the end of the run?
I mean, ideally, if our damage is high enough, we won't ever see Flare get to level 2. But my practice run before being here actually had abysmal damage where he had to cast Flare so much more than usual that it actually leveled up, which is bad. Because if it levels up, yeah, it gets a small damage boost and it gets the ability to hit more than one target. But the problem is the mana usage goes up twice as much, which means I'm draining mana faster, which is not very good.
Yeah. Is there any like lengthened cast times as part of it as well?
Agility affects your charge up and cast times. So agility.
I guess I was thinking more just like the animation of the spell. Does that take longer when it levels up?
Most of the spells are pretty much the same animation speed in general. And then, so Edward and James, oh, we got Panaceas, so that'll be good for later. That'll help us in case we get silenced much later. That's super nice.
Did you see?
All right, so we skip that, and then we're going to be getting out of disc 1 now, finally. So we skip that cutscene, and we're going to go through this door. And then we're going to get into a cutscene here, and we're going to skip it, and it's going to ask us to swap discs. So we're going to go ahead and get that going. And on to disc 2. Alright, so we fall down. Again, the deed of Charlotte there, or Casper the Unfriendly Ghost, depending on how you want to call them. And this is a 4-disc game, so keep that in mind. Casually, probably spend about 50 to 70 plus hours playing this game if you really wanted to, like I did. Actually, my first playthrough was 70 hours long.
So how much extra, like, exploration and stuff
Oh, there's tons of stuff
would there have been in disc 1? Because, like, that's an incredibly short disc 1.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we just didn't do and explore. There's items and enemies we didn't pick up and fight. There's levels that we could have had. All sorts of stuff. Like, lots of stuff that we didn't do. So anyways, this is another boss. It's the Noble Ghost. Or Phantom, I guess. Ooh, that was a nasty hit. Yeah, so that's what I was talking about. The knockbacks can happen when you get hit by a strong attack. We'll be doing a formation in a bit that'll help reduce the chance for knockbacks, but for now we can't risk doing that formation. So we're just gonna move Edward forward here. We're actually gonna swap out to that tabard that we picked up. And that's just because it's gonna make Edward here a little bit tankier for now with the stats that it should have.
With these knockbacks, if you have two characters, like one in front of the other, can the character in front get a knockback from a strong attack, or does that
So if
prevent that?
if Edward was in front of Koduelka and Edward was supposed to get knocked back from a strong attack, then because Koduelka's behind him, he wouldn't be able to be pushed back there. So he would just stop where he is. So it cancels out the knockback, essentially, which is what we're going to do a formation for in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, so formations do matter quite a bit in the run.
Wouldn't surprise me if there was like some consequence for it, like, oh, okay, well, you can't get knocked back, but you are gonna like run into the person behind you and deal damage to them or something.
I'd be so upset if that was the case, because the speedrun would fall apart so quickly, because that happens far too often, where Edward gets pushed into Koduelka and Koduelka would just die because she's made of paper. That's why we're going to be sticking Edward in a moment right in front of Koduelka so that he can never get knocked back, you know, so that he could reach Koduelka, because we want her to never be touched, essentially.
Mhm. So when you called him a meat shield earlier, you were being very literal about it.
Oh yeah, very, very literal. Edward is literally going to be a mute shield. I was being very, very literal when I was saying that. Alright, so this will be the final weapon Koduelka gets for the rest of the run. She gets a mace. And then the other thing is our final formation change for the rest of the run. So we're going to take Koduelka right behind Edward, and then James one row behind there. So James is safe, but not that safe. And then we're going to run from all these encounters and go straight to the next boss. So we're at, what, 7 bosses now? We're going to our 8th already. We still have a lot more bosses to go. This is boss rush the RPG speedrun, essentially. And our speed is not very good because we're having a hard time getting away from this fight. But thankfully, Edward's pretty tanky with that tabard for now. Oh yeah, finally we got away. Yeah, we don't want to be fighting any of these enemies. They're just not strong enough to deal with them right now. There's also a very particular enemy that we could run into in this area, especially on this disc, called the Upside Down Gunman. And if you ever see him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he's very, very scary. He always will immediately shoot and kill Koduelka. Point blank. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that. So before we go in here, we're going to use heal to heal Edward and Koduelka so we don't die in this boss fight coming up here. And this is going to be Madone the Mad Fly. Very kind of creepy looking boss. So Madone here can deal like around 600 damage and a multi-hit to Edward, which is why we kind of want him to have more than 600 HP to survive a hit and be able to be healed. So we're going to cast Fortify Int on Koduelka with both these characters. And that's just going to buff the damage that Koduelka's going to deal with their spellcasts for this fight for a short duration.
Alright, intelligence does the thing I thought it would.
Yeah, it definitely does. Boost magic damage. Now, so we're going to give her a few AP each. So she has temporarily gained 6 extra stat points for this fight. And then we're going to cast Megalith on the boss a couple times, and hopefully kill the boss in like 2 hits. Yeah, the bosses are going to start hitting significantly harder, which is why we need the meat shield Edward here to be a really good meat shield. Alright, so 1500's good. That's pretty reasonable damage at this point in the run, even though we had a pretty rough start, especially with the int boost there. So that will two-shot the boss on the next cast. Alright, so Edward's kind of in caution at this point. Oops, I didn't mean to skip Koduelka's turn. It's fine, she'll get another turn in a sec. Thankfully, the Madfly's pretty slow. Usually, don't you do it. Oh, he did it. Okay, well, Edward's gonna lose a level. But, I mean, he's a meat shield. Out of all the characters that can lose levels, probably the most okay character.
Wait, get him a whiskey.
Yeah, unfortunately he's dead, so I can't revive him until after the fight. He comes back with 1 HP. So he just misses out on some experience there. Now we want to get James here up to at least 800 HP as well. So, yeah, one thing I'm going to do here is heal Edward, and then we're also going to make that manual save here for marathon safety. So this is like where I told you, like, after a boss you can make a manual save, like a legitimate save slot save. We'll go ahead and make an actual save here. And then you can see I have a temporary, which is, like I said, the backup in case we needed to reload for that 5-minute weapon RNG that I was talking about at the start. So I have both cards loaded with the temporary save on each, just in case I want to load any one of them. One of them has a double normal weapon start, and the other one has, I believe, a normal water. So they're both not great. Well, they're better than nothing.
So the fire water start is the one, like the best one?
Like 1% or less chance to get that, so have fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it would be about a 1%. Be around a 1% for that. At least for that particular start there. Alright, so we have another cutscene here where they get to admire the antiques. We're going to get Edward here, I need a toy to play with. He's going to be done using the tabard here. He's going to be, we're going to be picking up a bow gun here. He's going to be rocking that for pretty much the rest of the game up until the end of Disc 3. But we're not going to equip it right now. We're just going to grab it and leave the room. They have the grind section, first actual like grind session of the RPG coming up here. And we only do this for a little bit here because we just need some equipment. We're not actually doing it for levels. But, you know, you usually get a couple levels out of this. Pick up a eye whistle here, which recovers even more lovely MP in case you need to use it. I forget what the type of alcohol the whistles are. I don't remember what the actual alcohol type is. Can't remember every single alcohol for every single item in the game, but most of them are pretty straightforward, like the whiskey. Alright, so there is 4 possible encounter types in this room. 3 of them are worth doing, like this one, for items. So we want to do... It
is rosé wine.
Rosé, what about the rosé?
Oh, that's the whistle. It is a rosé wine. I just
Did
had to
I
go
just
look it
use
up.
the wrong
So
character to
scared.
cast magic? I believe I did. Just did. I think I had James cast magic, which is gonna be funny because he's gonna deal like nothing. Glad that wasn't actual runaway there. I'm just gonna hold there. James is not gonna be able to do any damage. So it's gonna be really funny. Told ya.
Gotta watch out, those twos will add up.
Oh, like I said, James is here for moral support for right now. Just kind of hanging out. Koduelka's gonna do all the work. He'll hopefully be helping it towards the end of Disc 2, maybe start of Disc 3. So if we were better with our damage and our start, we would have one-shot that guy, but we didn't. So we have the bow gun equipped to Edward now, so we can shoot that guy to kill it. And then wait that turn out. Gotta be a little bit careful for right now, because like I said, everything does kind of hurt. Oops. Koduelka, you cast magic, please? Thank you. Little menu delay shenanigans here. Yeah, the menus sometimes can act a little delayed. So, you want to be a little bit more deliberate with your inputs, but not be too fast with them. Because the game likes to eat inputs if you're a little too fast with some of them that you're giving. Will be the last Vit and agility. Alright, we got one important key piece here, so that'll make Koduelka slightly less paper. And we need to do a few more fights in here. We're gonna pick up this lion statue, and then we're also gonna heal Edward here, because if we run into that same lineup here, it could be a bit of a disaster. We're gonna hold off on equipping the armor to Koduelka, because like I said, she's not really any danger in these fights. It's just particularly watching Edward's health. So ideally in this room we take about 5, maybe 6 fights, depending on what we get and whether or not we get certain accessories. Otherwise we would start leveling. If we did get that armor drop, for at least Koduelka, we'd be, instead of spending our level ups increasing her damage, we would be leveling her vitality to get her out of the under 800 HP range. Which is exactly what that armor is going to do once we equip it. It's going to boost our maximum HP. So I'm using very specific magic, I guess, against both all the enemies here. Every one of them has a weakness, and we're just exploiting that. And you kind of have to learn the weaknesses on your own, essentially. Because casually, you would have no idea what some of these enemies' weaknesses are. Just have to feel your way through it. So
move. There's no move like scan or something to tell you the.
There technically is a beastery, but I don't think, from what I remember, the beastery remotely tells you what the what those resistances or weaknesses are. So.
Okay.
Again, the beastery has information about the monster, but not any useful information, if that makes sense.
More lore stuff.
Alright, so we got an accessory drop to boost damage, and it's a badge, which, I mean, is not great. but it's something. I'll probably do like 1 or so more fights, and then leave here because we at least got an armor and an accessory. So that's better than nothing. And then hope the rest of the items that we do get pretty much on the route have decent rolls, because every item can roll with random stats too, along with elemental bonuses to them. So that's something to keep in mind. So this game is just a randomizer in itself, I guess, because you never know what you're gonna get with your actual stats on equipment, or if you're gonna get any equipment at all for that matter. So now that we can one-shot with Koduelka all these enemies, we're gonna be okay positioned for now. I'm a little bit more scared about what our damage and stuff's gonna look like disc 3, because if the equipment here and later doesn't roll with high enough stats on them, our damage is gonna drop off like a rock pretty soon. Like, we seem in a good spot right now, but yeah, that'll quickly flip-flop if our rolls and things aren't great. So ideally, we get 1 more armor, throw it on Edward, and then he's going to be like a very thick boy for the rest of the run, because that armor will reduce damage too. And then give him a nice, healthy, bigger HP boost so he could be more of a meat shield. But we'll see how things go. And we got another badge, so I mean it's better than nothing. All right, so we're gonna move on. So we're going to leave this room. We're going to equip the stuff that we just got. So Koduelka's gonna get the armor. And we're going to check these badges against what we have, because they want stat improvements. And then we're going to hand the other stuff over to James. He gets all the hand-me-downs. And then hopefully he'll be useful soon. Alright, next boss. So I would say, so far, compared to a lot of other RPGs, we don't really do a whole lot of farming. We get barely anything, just enough to scrape by, and then we move. That's it. So we're gonna go ahead and attack once here with Edward, because I'm not really that confident with my damage here. Oop, that is the wrong magic spell. You know, I cast Tornado on this guy. You can see that her previous max HP was 326. Our new max HP was is now over 1,000, which is why it looks like Koduelka is in the red. Because we equipped that armor outside of combat before a level up, so she didn't get the free heal. And we gotta manually reload this bow gun every time we fire an arrow with Edward. It's much nicer to cycle turns when you can just attempt to run and fail at every time. Alright, boss is dead. Alright, so we'll get some levels off this fight. My agility is really low right now, which is not that great. Alright, we get the evil horn, which will be James's weapon. Probably his final weapon in the run, because the other weapon that we want is a very, very rare encounter that we got to have a very, very rare roll of an item drop off of as well. So the odds of getting both to happen, very unlikely. But you never know. It can happen in 3 particular areas in the run. Pick up Statue's arm here. And we're gonna climb the staircase because we had a gunman try to shoot a chandelier down on us. And we're gonna go and confront this guy. So out of one boss fight into another. So this is Alias. He's that thief, another thief here. And then we're going to boost agility on Edward. Because Alias is only damageable by physical damage. So he's immune to magic, and we can't actually deal damage at all right now because he has barricades in front of him. So it's like one of the unique quirks to this fight and in another fight later.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, so that armor saved us from Koduelka dying immediately on the opening, because he always targets Koduelka, Edward, and James in that order every few turns. So ideally, we'll kill the barricades and then him before he cycles back to Koduelka if we're fast enough. Please, just escape. Thank you. So yeah, we boost the agility on Edward so he gets turns faster so he can use the bowgun. And then now we can use Koduelka to clear out the other barricade in front. And then James can kill that barricade. And then it's open hunting season on Alias here with Edward. Like, it takes Edward 2 attacks and James to be able to kill a set of boxes. And it takes Koduelka 1 spell. It's a big difference on damage right now.
Right.
Alright, so normally it takes about 3 attack cycles here with the bowgun to take down Alias. And with that boosted agility, we'll be able to cycle turns pretty quickly back. Reload and then fire, and then rinse repeat. If agility was higher with Edward, we could have opted to boost the dexterity and go for a 3-turn kill. But it's just safer to do the agility, just because he gets turns more frequently this way. So it kind of evens out. Just depends if you want to be a little risky or not. And obviously I'm not going to play it that way. Turn 3. And then the next one will kill. And then just for safety, I'm actually going to use that potion because I have a feeling that he's going to go before I get to fire. And I really need Koduelka to gain all of the experience possible here. Play it
Still
safe.
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, since our last save was like 3 bosses ago, essentially. We'll make another mandatory save very soon once we get to the next boss and defeat it. And now we're just statting up. Edward's going to be just dumping into HP at this point going forward, primarily. Maybe occasionally a little bit of agility. It's unfortunate. I was not expecting a random encounter there. I was gonna move closer to Alias's body because we have to initiate a cutscene in order to actually get progression. So we got the necessary key item to advance, but the progression was actually locked behind the cutscene here. So, Alias is technically wounded at this point after the fight. He's not actually dead. He will be dead after this cutscene, though. We just won't see it. Edward goes, yeah, thieves are pretty honest, right? But, you know, can't leave them living, so he just picks out the revolver and shoots him square in the face. It was, like, really, really harsh. Alright, now our favorite part of horror games, backtracking with all of these key items and getting more key items. I would say at this point in our run, we, like, 90, not quite 90, but I would say about 75% of our inventory is key items. Which is really, really funny. Alright, so we're heading back. We're in the Disc 1 area now, and then we're gonna head back to the Caretaker's area. Use that key that Alias had on him. That'll allow us to get into a room that we gotta go pick up some important stuff from. And yeah, so we only have more boss and then we're done this disc, and then we're on to disc 3. Which is a bit of a meteor disc, I would say.
So we're around level 13, 14?
Yeah, we're not very high level, like...
What would be, like, on a casual playthrough, like, what do you think would be about the expected
like,
level?
Mid-20s at this point, usually? Like, almost double our level? Where, yeah, we have to come here and pick up 2 key items, an extra accessory that was hidden in the drawer, and then hopefully it's an upgrade, because again, random stat rolls on it. And then the mask that we picked up halves encounter rates from the rest of the point forward while we have it in our inventory. Oh, this is the rare encounter. The very rare encounter. Okay. The cat has a chance to drop an item called the Cat's Eye, or a weapon called the Cat's Eye, which is the strongest weapon in the game. Chances of it dropping it are very, very slim, but it's also worth fighting anyways, because the chance to drop plus the experience. Yeah, Koduelka's damage is not doing very good, because normally that would have one-shot the cat.
Boy.
It does not have that much HP. Has about 1,000. Oh god, James!
Okay. I was
Right.
expecting a little better than that.
I
At this
was
point.
too, but apparently his stat rolls on everything are just not that great. Really funny if this cat gave us the cat's eye though, because that'll be a huge damage boost. Unlikely, but you never know. We got level, which is very, very nice. And no cat's eye, unfortunately. But it was worth it for the extra level. Very, very sloppy movement there. Alright, so half the backtracking's done now. We still need to get a few more things before we get closer to the end of this disc. Elka having issues with stairs climbing again. For some reason, she doesn't like stairs. She very much needs to be like, you know, weirdly in a very specific spot most times in order for her to actually start interacting with ledges or stairs. Okay, climb down these boxes, and then we're going to backtrack to near the start of the disc 2 here. We're gonna go up this way and then turn so that we don't hit the screen transition in front of the fountain. And then that'll allow us to just get through that room quicker, and then we're gonna head down the way we came. And then back where we picked up the bowgun, there was a locked door that we didn't open. We're gonna go ahead and open that now with the key. This is the last time that we used that key that we picked up. We throw it away when we're done, you know, classic. Get the second piece of the puzzle here. Hopefully I remembered to grab the first piece of it. Because we need to at least know how to get the solution. And then grab that music box and leave. So yeah, normally when everybody else is leveling up now, Edward would be leveling up, but remember, Edward died during the Madone fight, so he's going to level up at the opposite time of everybody else generally. Oh, and before I forget, we need the goat statue that's hidden in this wall. And there's no way to get this until we do this backtrack. How you're supposed to find out and figure that out casually, I have no idea. There's lots of random wandering around. I'm gonna recheck this wall just in case I forgot earlier. And then we have all the information we need to get to the library. All our backtracking is complete. We can head exactly back to where we took care of the last boss that we fought. And back up these stairs. Yeah, there's if you've been wondering where's the music all the time, it's pretty much only battle music you'll hear. The game is very atmospheric more than anything. And then the voice acting. So there's not a whole lot of music throughout the run. Just specifically during battles and maybe during some of the cutscenes. Alright, and now the door's open. And into the library we go. Alright, another key item that we need in here. It lets me in the door.
That is a phrase I have said many times as an RE speedrunner. It's like, door, please, trigger.
I'm like right in front of the door, but it was like refusing to open. Like off on the angle by like maybe a pixel. And it's the same thing with stairs sometimes in the game. Thankfully, the doors are a bit wider. It was just I happened to be slightly off center of the door, and that's why it was refusing to open. Sometimes you have to do like that little bit of that wiggle.
Yeah. I don't know if this game has this, but I know at least one of the doors in Resident Evil 1, the trigger to unlock the door with the key is larger than the trigger to actually go through the door because they're not the same for some reason. That's always a fun one.
There's a hidden door that will be unlocking in a bit that actually has a trigger bigger than the actual interaction for the actual door that you can't see. So I guess that's kind of close.
Oh. Yeah. That might make a bit more sense than the one in RE1. There's really no good reason for that one.
All right, so that's our almost last piece of glass that we need to pick up that we've been collecting throughout the very start of the run. And then we have our next boss coming up here. But before we do that, we need to do some equipment checking. We're going to check this badge against what James has. And then equip the evil horn here. And while we're in here, I'm gonna go ahead and throw away this rifle that I shouldn't have picked up earlier. Now we can fight the boss. Alright, so this is Chimera. It is a literal chimera. So all those statues that we're picking up are represented by the heads of this boss. So it's just funny that we pick up the statues representing the boss to be able to fight the boss.
Hey, you gotta make the boss.
Just chilling out inside the library, you know, no biggie.
I was not expecting the evil horn to look like that.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what I was expecting, but not that.
Yeah, the evil horn counts as an intelligence-based spear, which is really, really funny. It also has an attack range of 2. So I have to be very careful because we can still technically poke the boss at this range with James in the back, which is kind of annoying to remember the menu around. So you see how everybody got knocked back in the back row, but not Edward. Because Edward couldn't get knocked back because Koduelka was right behind him. You can just stay there, James.
I assume you moved Koduelka back up so that Edward can't get knocked back later?
Yes, and I also deal more damage the closer I am to enemies.
Oh,
Yeah, the distance to enemies affects damage, yeah. There's a lot of like little subtle details that I don't think about sometimes when I run this game or play it casually. You just never pick up on. But yeah, range has a lot to do with your damage when using magic as well as ranged weaponry. Oh, that was a fast kill on that boss. Okay. A lot faster than I was expecting. That boss has over 4,000 HP, so that was really good damage rolls.
Especially considering the earlier damage.
Yeah, considering the earlier damage. Yeah, so it turns out some of those accessories weren't half bad. Edward's a little low on HP there because he missed out on those 4 stat points from earlier, but hopefully make up to that very soon. Also, before we leave this room, we gotta interact with this corner of the room, and then have Edward and James do a poetry rap battle against each other. They show each other up before we leave. It's actually really cool. They start reciting Shakespeare and Macbeth at each other, which is really funny. Yeah.
Need to get the epic rap battles of history.
Yeah, essentially, but it's poetry this time. Anyways, yeah, we have to do that mandatory cutscene again, just like at the end of disc 1, in order to have progression. We won't actually be able to leave a room until we do it, because she'll sit there trying to interact with the door and go, Edward and James don't want to leave the room yet. Alright, so we pick up this relief piece, and we picked up a music disc that we'll use a little bit later. By a little bit later, I mean towards the end of disc 3. But the relief piece we're going to use right away. So we're gonna climb on top of the clock here in the middle of the library floor. And then there's a big mural here that we're gonna plug this piece into, and it's gonna unlock the hidden door I was talking about. So this door sometimes just doesn't let us walk through it. Okay, so music box goes off that we picked up earlier. Koduelka, thank you. And then the music box breaks once we play the melody here to open the door. We have 2 cutscenes here where we meet a very well-recognized character if you're a fan of the Shadow Heart series, called Roger Bacon. But he's dead. And then we're going to pick up the final piece of stained glass. We now have like 5 or 6 pieces of stained glass. We're finally going to use all of them. So, like I said, I wasn't joking when I said like about 75% of our inventory is just full of key items for most of the beginning of the run. So, and this is all just cleanup for the end of this disc. And then we're gonna go plug all the stained glass in here. There's like an optional thing we can go back and do now that we did that, but we're not going to do that because that requires backtracking to the upper part of the library. But if you were doing a different version of the route, you might want to go do that. We're gonna walk up here to this crumbling wall with a hole in it. And then we're gonna see like a moving tree in the back there in that cutscene. We're not sure why. A bunch of like tree vines and stuff in there. But no one at this point, like story-wise, knows what's going on. Also, very interesting, I didn't know you could actually get a random encounter in this room.
It's a former boss.
Yeah, some of the earlier bosses do become regular enemies. Not all of them, just some of the more generic looking early enemies, like the werewolf, the trio. Really cool cutscene, but we're gonna skip it. Basically, they go, it's Sunday, and then they go, oh crap, it's All Saints Day, and then they just go like, boom! Oh no, demon boss comes out of nowhere. And the boys book it and leave. This is also the only boss you can run from, because we're not supposed to fight this boss. If you attempt to fight this boss, you will lose. That is the end of disc 2. Alright, so now we're on disc 3. Yeah, so that boss that we ran from is the super boss of the game. That's why I said you will not be able to win that fight. Just really funny that you're face to face with the super boss halfway in the game, and you're not supposed to fight the boss. And up until this point, the game has taught you, hey, you can't run from the bosses. But here's that one boss where you could. You know, back in the day...
Absolutely... Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know, back in the day when we have like these really old games where it's like no hand-holding whatsoever, just expect the player to find mess around and find out the hard way. Like, this is that kind of game.
Yeah. So, should you have leveled up enough, would it be possible to fight that boss there, or is this always a run from that and fight it as the super boss later or something?
You definitely want to come tackle this bad boy later, towards the very, very end of the run, when you're like triple your level right now. Because the dude can one-shot you, even if you're at like nearly max level.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he's very strong. Alright, so we just, now with all the stained glass and the pieces of jewelry they've been picking up, they're putting on the statues now, we've like emptied out half the key items out of our inventory finally. So now we have like much freer inventory. And there is an inventory limit in this game. So, something to also keep in mind. So you can't infinitely hold as many items as you want. However, if you were to get if you were to be given something from a battle, it would go into an inventory overflow, and the only way you would see an item actually physically appear in your inventory to interact with it would be to discard items until it shows up. So you don't technically lose the item forever if you pick up an item out of battle and you are full. What would happen is you just get an inventory overflow, and then the item will appear as soon as you make room for it. However, that does mean anything on the ground that you're supposed to pick up or interact with, you will not be able to pick up. So... probably one of my favorite cutscenes that we just skipped there. So the caretaker, husband, knocks us out and goes crazy and starts talking about his boat, and then stares at something and then looks at us and goes, "I'll show you what a lamp is," and tries to kill us. And then wife sees him and then shoots him in the face with the shotgun and says, "That's enough, dear. We can't keep going like this," and then shoots herself in the face. This game's wild. So, it is a horror game, though. Did I mention there's humor in this game amongst all of the weirdly twisted and horrific things that have been going on throughout the run that we've been kind of loosely skipping over? Also, your favorite person's about to show up. Gonna double check equipment.
Oh boy.
Is pendant better than anything we have? Nope. Alright. We should be okay. Hopefully.
Oh, I still have my emote of it?
All right, it's Gug time.
Damn. It is Gug.
It's Gug. Yeah, so we don't have Edward and James, because remember, they ran away when that boss, super boss, showed up, so... We just have poor old Koduelka here. Our speed is not very good if he gets to go first here. The damage isn't even that great either. Okay, well, we have healing items that we'll have to use. It's gonna be a 4-hit pulse. He has like 5,000 HP. I'm gonna have to heal now. I can only take realistically the 2 hits. The Gug's actually pretty fast. Man, he really knows how to body slam.
Yeah, he does. What a boss to fight with the glass cannon, too.
Yeah. I don't like that it's in melee range because I keep accidentally going to attack and it's highlighting it instead of magic first because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh! What? You didn't die? Okay. That's a little scary. At least it's the weaker of the many attacks he can do.
Yeah.
He has this like spinny
like
arm whirl.
HP.
He has like the spinny forearm attack that he does that could just decimate my health bar if he ever does it. That's the attack that I'm really scared of because that could do like 1,000 damage. Alright, we're gonna make that safety save now that Gug's down. Right on top of his fountain. So I'm gonna do 1 there and then boost our agility a little bit. And then 2 here, 2 here. To kind of boost our agility up to hopefully a bit closer to where it is. We're gonna say no to the shotgun. We don't want that. And then we're gonna make our mandatory marathon safety save here just in case. Again, only being able to save on the fountain shrines here after we've killed the boss and earned the ability to actually make a save. I gotta pick up these nuts for safety. These Roman nuts. Roman nuts are the elixirs of this game. Build both MP and HP. Useless little factoid about this game, for the people that haven't played it though, is you can rename every single item that you can have in your inventory. Manually. You can manually rename every single item. So those Roman nuts I picked up, I could rename those into D's nuts if I wanted to, just for giggles. And then any time in the rest of the run, anytime that item would show up, it would say that I got D's nuts.
So that's an important detail.
It's really funny that you could just do that in this game. But I think it's worth noting and pointing out because it's really funny. So, devs certainly give you a lot of opportunities to have a good time with this game. Alright, so cutscene. Roger's technically alive. He's just over 300 years old. Who knew? so I picked up the second doll here. And then Roger meets up with us, tells us he unlocked the shortcut back to the library. We're gonna go climb these stairs to get back there and meet up with Edward and James, who are waiting.
I see a note here that PAL and Japanese version have an ultimate weapon for Koduelka back there by the cross.
Yeah, behind the tombstone, there's a secret weapon hiding behind there. But I'm playing on the US version, so I don't get that.
I wonder why they took that out.
I have no idea. It is very good. It is the better weapon than the mace. If I was playing one of those versions, I would be definitely using it at this point.
I'm just shuddering at the thought of PAL load times, given how long these load times can be.
Yeah, this game's load times are pretty long. They're even worse on the PAL version of the game.
That is something I'm so glad we've basically done away with in video gaming.
Yeah,
PAL versions of games are wild.
That weapon being behind the grave is like the only difference between the versions of the game. So it's not that huge of a deal, really. You can definitely get really solid times without it. Because again, it comes down to a lot of the other RNG and stat rolls on your rest of your gear more than anything. No, I am going the right way. I was very confused for a second. I'm like, am I going the right way? Because I have to do the backtracking. Because there's like so many different routes that are now open in the estate, like there's different paths you could take to get to new areas. But we're going all the way back to basically where we came in on this disc. Or I mean on disc 2, to unlock a completely different route to where we want to go. Just a pretty lengthy backtrack here, fortunately. Well, so another like minute before we get there, so good time for questions or anything like that.
I don't really see much text happening outside of like, you know, cutscenes and in battle. Is like that's usually one of the advantages to running Japanese in older games. It seems like that just wouldn't really be a thing.
For this game, text and stuff's instant, so
okay.
As fast as you can hit the button, as fast as it goes away. There's not really inherently a difference on language specifically on its own, just the weapon difference with the US version not having that weapon for Koduelka behind the tombstone. Okay, so we need to give the 2 dolls to the mummified children, and they'll give us a key so that we can enter this door that we didn't enter earlier on. If you approach that door and try to enter it without giving them the dolls, they get very angry at you and warn you not to touch the door. And if you don't listen to them, well, you get into an unwinnable boss fight with them. Have fun.
Oh.
Checking the pendant here. Yeah, not better. It's unfortunate. Alright, time to fight possessed furniture from IKEA. as our next boss fight. We got a set of chairs and a cabinet here, or a bookshelf. And we're gonna throw water on the chair, because this chair is immune to fire for some reason. Well, I wouldn't say it's immune to fire, it just doesn't take a lot of damage from fire, unfortunately. That's a lot better damage now. But for how long is the big question, because our damage is gonna drop off again if we don't get some more damage in us. James, I'm really scared about because he's got the hand-me-downs. Whoa, my James actually dealt damage. What?
Okay.
He dealt more than 1,000 damage. Good boy, James.
He did it.
He did it. Koduelka's just weaker on damage right now, which is unfortunate. Yeah, James at this point, for me, on average, only deals about, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 damage against the furniture here. I'm actually quite surprised that he was able to hit that much. At all. Like, Koduelka's damage is significantly lower than it should be, but that's stat rolls at this point. The accessories that we have are close to mid-tier, and they didn't roll very high. But the nice thing about all of the equipment being pretty mid-tier is that the hand-me-downs are also pretty mid-tier, which means James has actually got pretty decent gear as well, which is a bit of a surprise. But again, this mid-tier, I hate that he's close because now the horn wants to melee attack. But yeah, this damage will drop off pretty quickly. Probably as soon as we get done here with the boss right after this one. We're gonna see a pretty sharp fall on damage, most likely. Alright. So, of course, after we fight possessed furniture from IKEA, we fight the ghost who's possessing the furniture! This is that Casper the Unfriendly Ghost character Charlotte that we were talking about earlier that tried to murder us a few times. I'm wondering if specifically, it's not necessarily accessories that James has that rolled high, it's like the Evil Horn actually rolled decently. Because the Evil Horn's an intelligence-based spear, and usually it rolls pretty low for me. And I'm wondering if that's the case, because I didn't pay attention at all to the stat boost it's giving. It's just better than anything else that Edward could be using at this point. Or, sorry, that James could. Yeah, that's the damage I was expecting James to do against this boss. That's more normal James damage right there. 500. Against a boss that has, you know, around 5,000 HP. Oh. Edward, do you want to wake up? You're not a very good tank laying down. Only one more spell cast here. So I can use James here to pick up Edward so he doesn't lose experience again. Since we have all that whiskey. Just pour it over his flesh wounds.
Yeah.
There you go, Edward. Have some whiskey. And then we're going to potion up here just to be safe. Yeah, that attack did a lot more than I was hoping against Edward. But again, he has no armor, yeah, that makes a significant difference with absorbing damage. The other thing is he also doesn't have accessories on at all, which means he just doesn't have anything helping absorb any damage either, so especially for magic in particular. So Edward is just not doing very good as a meat shield. So it might be a little sketchy with Edward from this point forward, because enemies are going to start hitting pretty hard. Alright, so that Starbroach hopefully is an improvement to our damage. We'll check it in a moment, but for now we're going to leave. And we're going to be heading to, if you guessed it, another boss. You were correct. I wasn't joking. There's a lot of bosses, we just kind of fight them one after another the entirety through the run. It's probably the most straightforward boss rush of an RPG you'll probably ever find, I think. So that music disc that I told you we picked up near the end of disc 2, we finally get to use it. And we're closing in near the end of disc 3 at this point. Just have another boss here to deal with. Second to last boss of this disc. Alright, so this is Jezebel. The first real beefy boss of the game. Over 9,000 HP on her. And she hits like a truck. We're gonna actually have to have James help out here, and we're gonna have to count the damage we deal here. And keep an eye on Edward's HP. If the fight's gonna go south at any point, this is probably the first fight that really is gonna go south. And if it goes south, we're in for trouble, because she can wipe the whole party if Edward goes down. She gets nice and close and personal to us. Alright, knockback on the flare, which is good, so it's 1500. We want to count to at least 9,000 HP. That's 2. I only have 1 high potion, so I'm gonna have to hold on to it. I do not have very many healing items, which is the scary part. Alright, so it's 3-5. Uh, 4-1.
You're at 4412 damage so far.
Oh, you're actually better at math than me. That's good.
I'm just using a calculator.
Oh, well, that's helpful. I'm trying to do rough math.
I figured the extra 300 might matter.
That could matter in this fight. So we're gonna use that last big heal that we have, which is that high potion we picked up earlier back in the library. We've been pretty dry for healing items off the actual encounters we've done, unfortunately. Not getting very lucky on good rewards from the fights that we've been doing. So about 43, you said?
4412.
4412. No, Edward. Sorry, you can't use magic, Edward. You're not very smart. Your int level is too low. That should be 6.
Yep. That's 6.
Uh, 66. Or it should be 67.
6780.
I'd have to peel James off of damage to heal Edward. Using magic. Yep, definitely gotta do that. He can't take another hit. So keep Koduelka the pressure on. Use heal instead here on Edward. Don't heal the boss. Whatever I do, don't heal the boss.
It's the wrong fight to be doing that.
You can do funny stuff like that. I think heal's the only... It's the only support spell that doesn't have like the reverse effect on bosses or enemies. Because like the stat up support spells, like I said, they do the opposite against enemies, but heal will actually just straight up heal.
Right.
However, if the enemy's considered undead, it would technically count as damage, but very few. Well, I mean, there is undead enemies in the game, but this game's really weird with how it classifies an undead enemy. What are you doing, Jezebel? No, not... actually, I wasted a heal. So, what happened there is memory targeting. So, because that was the last spell that I had selected in the spellbook, it's on that for Koduelka as well, because I also used it on James. Yeah. It's not... It's memory across the whole party.
Yeah.
And
good news is it looks like you're in range for this to kill anyway.
Nice. James got the kill.
She got closer.
yeah. Again, I told you range does matter.
Yeah.
James got the killing blow. That's good.
Should have been fine without her getting closer, but I mean, you know, nothing like her giving you that extra little insurance.
Yeah, that is kind of nice. I do not want the gun. Pistol, the automatic pistol is pretty good, but oh yeah, we're gonna make the safety save finally. It's been a while, because the next one we won't be able to get for a tiny bit here. This is probably one of the better ones to get, to be honest, for now. Hello, overwrite. All right, we have a tiny bit of backtracking to do momentarily. Cutscene here where we finally get to meet the spirit that called Koduelka here to the estate, which We find out is Elaine, who was Patrick's ex-lover, who he let go because he wanted to join the Vatican and become a bishop. Which is why he's also marked as a bishop on the chessboard when you're in the formation screen. It was a funny thing.
Huh.
Yeah. Cool little details that I like about that. I find it really fitting that we get to play the characters in the RPG as they're depicted characters on the formation board. Whereas Koduelka is the glass cannon, which is the queen, which is a very important piece in the game of chess.
Yeah.
And Edward gets to be the knight. Well, James gets to be a bishop. Is just kind of there to be a support character. He's kind of important, but not really. Alright, so the order we did this in is very important because it lets us do these two cutscenes back to back right here. Normally you would come here context-wise and then leave and then come back later after we grab the documents. Because this is how you kind of find out about the documents in the first place that we were looking for. So you can leave, come back, already have them, and it just re-triggers the next cutscene. That just saves a bit of time here. Because normally this cutscene that we got the second time would make a little bit more sense after having done and retrieved the documents of Jezebel and talking to Elaine first before coming back. Alright, so next we need to examine this bookshelf to learn what a fireplace is in Greek. And that's very important because we need to know how to open a secret passage with that. And then we need to pick up this empty bottle. And then our favorite part of every Resi-style horror game is backtrack a little bit. We're gonna do that now to save us some time for the end of disc 3 here. So we need to take this bottle all the way back to where we fought Madone, the Mad Fly, because there is a vat of acid over there that we want to fill up the bottle with. And we need that so that we can combine the sulfuric acid with chemicals from Patrick's lab that we're going to make a bomb. But we don't get to do that until the end of this disc. But very, very important thing to do. RGL's run has not been great to us. 10 minutes. It costed us 10 minutes to get a run started. But we got one started naturally, which is really good. I'm happy about that. But because of the not so great start off disc 1 and early disc 2, we're not even close to being at a 208. Not even close, because we still have about 25-30 minutes more of the game left if RNG kind of stays okay from here this point forward. Because there's one more RNG, a little bit of a farm that we need to do, and it's just for an item to one-shot the final boss of disc 3. So we need this acid here. And I would argue, too, that the last boss of disc 3 is probably one of the most annoying and difficult bosses to fight casually. Because he has 2 different phases. And as he cycles through the phases, and it's very hard to tell what the phases are until you get used to how do I put this? Every enemy sort of has like a dance or like an animation that they play in both when they're using an ability or an attack, or whether or not they're idle. And the boss has an idle stance animation for both phases that it cycles between. And during those cycled phases, the boss gains immunity to either magic or melee. And if you hit them with the wrong type of attack while they're shifted, you'll end up healing the boss for sometimes double what you can deal damage-wise to it.
That's lovely.
Yeah. Very, very annoying boss. And he cycles really quickly, which is why we want to one-shot him instead. Also, Gunman, Koduelka. I told you, every time we see this upside-down Gunman, he's just immediately gonna shoot Koduelka. He really just doesn't like her. I told you she was made of paper, too. The shot almost killed her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. Alright, so no more backtracking for the rest of the run. We're done. Finally. The furthest backtrack we have to do is coming back here for a tiny bit right after we kill the last boss of Disc 3 here, and then we're in go mode. Alright, so just a counterbalance measurement scale there that we need to weigh out so that we can open this door. There's a secret weapon hiding around here if you really want it. But it's a melee weapon, so obviously we don't want it. Because that would put us at risk of getting within melee damage. Oops. I kind of messed that up, but we can easily fix it. There we go. Okie dokie. Alright, so here's where we do the little bit of a farm here. So we're looking for a particular enemy called a Mars. And this enemy has a chance to drop a item called a magic scroll. And the magic scroll can be one of 4 basic elements: fire, wind, earth, or water. And we need any of the 3 that aren't air to be able to one-shot the boss. And there's a Mars. It's an uncommon drop, so it can be sometimes a bit difficult to get. Mars is also a somewhat difficult enemy to get as an encounter as well. So we'll see how this goes. Sometimes it usually takes a bit. I also have to remember not to do the quick pass turn, because I'll probably end up running at this point because of my agility being significantly higher than it was early on in the run. Yeah, I really wish Koduelka's damage was a little bit higher here. James is kind of about where he usually would be, if not slightly better at this point. He could be even stronger, but again, kind of starved for accessories right now. So tempting to hit run there. So enemies at this point in the game, still pretty good damage. They also have like a lot larger amount of HP. They have basically as much HP as any boss on disc 2. Oh, okay. Jim's gonna have to pick up Koduelka. Actually, no, Edward can do that since I have lots of whiskey. Thankfully, we have lots of whiskey that we were granted with early.
Right. Was that drop 7 of them, I think?
I got like 9 early on, and then at some point I got more, so... I had 3 whiskey drops of multiple from one fight early on. I forget which fight it was. Probably gonna need James to heal Koduelka. Probably not gonna heal for much though because of the intelligence versus mind difference. So casters, if there's a large enough difference from their intelligence and their mind stat, they might not be able to heal each other as much. But we're out of the fight, so we could just heal normally to full. Alright, scroll please. I guess we don't need to heal her. Because we leveled up. And no scroll. But good experience at least while we're here. So we'll, hopefully, won't take too long to get another Mars to at least drop a scroll. And it's a 3 out of 4 chance to get what we need, so it's 75%. If we actually get the drop.
Yeah.
The drop is uncommon, so it's not too hard to get. Same with the encounter, so it's not a hard encounter to get. The only issue is, remember, we have that mask that we picked up earlier that cut our encounter rate in half. So it makes it slightly harder to get encounters faster.
Yeah.
And we got another Mars right away, so that's good. And if you're wondering if there's a better room to get the Mars, this is the best room, because there's only like 2 possible combinations of enemy types to run into here. Mars being one of them with the enemy that he's accompanied with. Mars is the guy that just ran at the corner, by the way. Probably should have explained that earlier. It's a little balloon-looking guy.
I'm wondering which one it was.
Yeah, I think Mars has like 3,000 HP or something. If Koduelka's damage was higher, she'd probably be like more on average to what I'm used to doing with higher accessory rolls. She should be doing like 2,000, and then James should be doing 1,000 on his own, so together they could film in 2 casts with pretty much any of the enemies that we run into at this point. We're a little starved on, like I said, accessory improvements right now. I do have an accessory I can check though after this fight. That might help. Oh, wait, don't run. I don't need strength, so that's completely fine.
Congratulations, your attack was very effective.
I mean, I wasn't leveling strength on Koduelka or James anyway, so... That is perfectly fine, as long as it's not a debuff to their intelligence.
Are those debuffs permanent? Or
No, just for the fight.
For the fight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be really unfortunate if that was permanent, though. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
That'd be pretty salty if that was permanent, because that's -11 is like
Right.
4 levels to replace that. More HP. Oh, we got a sword. That's not what I want. I got excited because we got an item drop, but it turns out it was a sword. So it looks like, as long as we get these scrolls soon, probably come really close to that estimate that I set. Because RNG just be RNGing it. Yeah, we just don't have the damage to go toe-to-toe with Apostles, so we're gonna try for the scroll. Because, again, if we have to do this fight normally, not gonna be fun if I accidentally heal the boss in the middle of it. Rather just take the magic scroll approach. And what we lost in accessories, we can make up for in levels. Which will be helpful for the boss gauntlet that we're going to be doing once we get off disc 3 here. This is only about 15 to 20 minutes once we get off here. Whoops, I didn't mean to wait them. Oh, what am I doing? I want to escape. It's not a fight I want. So there's 3 possible fights, encounters here, because I forgot that this was one of the encounters. So there's the blue trio mirror with another enemy, those 2 enemies, then the Mars, and whatever that floating ghost is called. We're just gonna kind of go around on a circle in the room here and stay a little ways from the sides of the screen here, because it'll transition us, and obviously transitions will eat time here. There's not much going on right now. This is peak gameplay going on here for RPG grinding. This is about as good as the grind session that you can get here in Koduelka. If we were going to actually go back and fight that super boss, this is where we would be spending probably a good half hour or more in. Easily.
The scroll's useful for...
Yeah, we gotta farm at least 10 of them for the super boss.
Jeez.
At least 10. And that's no guarantee you get out of that boss fight and have enough of them to actually deal enough damage to kill him. Okay, so Koduelka's got enough damage to one-shot the mirror, so that's good. That does mean that James' spell's gonna fizzle. Yeah, out of the combinations of encounters with Mars that we want, this is probably one of the best ones to get. Just because the blue trio takes so much more damage from fire. So the other thing that we want to try to get to as we're leveling is as close to over 66 agility as possible with Koduelka at the very least. And as close to that with James as possible, because he's a bit underhanded when it comes to stats throughout the run. If we had the cat's eye, agility would be a thing of the past. You wouldn't have to worry about it with James at all. And we got a scroll. All right, cool. Got a fire scroll, so hopefully it's enough damage to one-shot Apostle.
So the one you don't want is the wind scroll?
Yeah, the air one. Yeah, so we should be able to one-shot this boss. And then we're done with basically disc 3. And then we're in boss rush go mode and not much left of the run. Alright, so go to items, go right to the down, fire scroll. And if, as long as this deals over 8,000 damage, she's dead. That was a little short. By like 500.
So you got about... Yep.
Alright, James is gonna have to get him before the transition. Hopefully. Okay. Boss hasn't got a turn yet, so he hasn't shifted. There we go. Alright, boss dead. Woo! That was close. If he got a turn, he would have shifted, and then I would have had to just wait and hope that he shifted back into magic at some point. Ooh. Alright. Nope, not luck. Yeah, we got a bunch of levels. Like, this just shows how weak we are compared to this boss.
Yeah.
And then we got a upgrade, final upgrade for Edward, which is an actual crossbow. Alright. And, oh yeah. So before we go, we gotta walk up to that screen transition. It'll trigger a cutscene here, which is what gives us the indication that we have to make an explosive. And then that acid that we already pre-prepped is what's going to allow us to get into the disc. Actually get into disc 4 here. Head onto disc 4 we go. And now essentially once we go back and make this explosive at the lab, we're just boss rushing again to the very end of the run. Nothing else left to do, really. So, as long as everything else goes as expected here forward, which it should, aside from taking into account that our accessories are not exactly where we would hope them to be at this point, things should be relatively smooth from here forward. I think the only scary part is going to be dealing with the final boss.
I'm going to begin my work. Can you two wait for me here?
There's probably a good chance I die there, if at any point now for the rest of the run. Alright, so now that we skipped a 15-minute cutscene, the longest cutscene in the game, where Koduelka and Edward get absolutely drunk. You just gotta watch them for like 15 minutes get absolutely drunk while talking about their past life. James gets to make the bomb. We finally get to enter actually into disc 4. Because we need to blow open this door that we just don't have time to find a better solution to get through it. There's no key or no way to open the door, just make a bomb and blow it open.
So we'll get through this door one way or another.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so in we go. Lots more cutscenes that we're going to be skipping here. There's, let's just say if we were to watch the cutscenes in the run, it would double the length of the run, essentially. Or at least add another hour and a half. Like almost 2 hours worth of cutscenes, and they're fully voice acted that we skip throughout the run in total. We've been skipping a lot of cutscenes. Alright, so we need to play an organ. And the answers are in the memo that we picked up earlier. And that'll open a sarcophagus to a lower section of the closed off part of the church here. Yeah, that memo that we would have picked up earlier when we found the research documents is, if you read it, you actually read it, you can get the hint for the organ there. Elka, stairs! Wow. I don't know how many times I had to like scoot across that while hitting the interact button for her to finally decide to go down the stairs. She really just does not like leg day apparently today.
Right.
Alright, this is also the point of no return, so if casually you got here and you were under, and you don't realize that you're strong enough, you are kind of screwed. Because, fighting any of the random encounters here is, no joke. So, if you were under-leveled by under-level, I mean, like, not somewhere close to 50, you might be struggling at this point. And I think we're, like, what, mid-20s, like I was expecting us to be?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, also, next boss. This is that tree that I, earlier on, in near the end of Disc 2 that we saw behind the broken wall. So we got to fight it now. So the other thing is I'm going to swap to that crossbow. And I do like that you can swap weapons while in combat here to fit the situation, in case you come in here with weapons that are ineffective against the enemies, so you're not like completely locked out of options to deal with the encounter. So you can kind of switch up your equipment, at least on the weapons. Also, with the fact that melee weapons can break and guns needing ammo, it kind of makes sense to be able to switch your weapons in combat. It'd be very difficult to do an encounter if your weapon broke and you can't re-equip anything, or if your gun runs out.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
Yeah, it would be rough, wouldn't it? So all of these plants have, like, what, 5,500 HP? They do pretty absurd damage as well, at least with the melee, so we want to kind of stay out of range of that. Yeah, we want to keep an eye on Edward's HP more than anything. Melee attack here. No, I hate that he's that close and he wants to poke him instead. So that's level 2
So
flare.
that's that level 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to consume a lot more mana. We've casted flare a lot because our damage has been lacking. It's most used spell throughout the entirety of the run. Thankfully, our items in our inventory is very little, so that means we can cycle to reload the crossbow a lot quicker. Well, that's the one benefit of having a lighter inventory. Makes menuing easier. I might want to heal Edward though, because oh no, he's okay. It's a little sketched out because I know that he doesn't have armor on, but as long as he's got over 5k HP, we're okay. They have a multi-hit that deals close to 5,000. As long as it doesn't crit. That was actually lower damage than I expected. Okay. Sure.
Is that the multi-hit you were talking about?
Yeah, it didn't do as much damage as I was expecting it to do. I guess our stat is high enough to mitigate some of it naturally. Because that normally isn't the case. Especially when I don't have armor equipped to him. That's good in our case. Which means I might not need to be as scared about the final boss. Because like I had a run, I did a practice run before this, so we had a similar issue with being starved for gear. That Edward at this point was taking 1,000 a hit on the multi-hit, and he died coming into this section a couple times.
God.
Yeah. Multi-hit nabbed him for nearly 5,000 HP. I was not counting the HP on these guys, so hopefully this is enough damage now to kill him, because 2 flares went off at level 2. No, just short. Alright, Koduelka can get the final blow. Yeah, he's almost dead. He's running away. So enemies, when they're low on HP, we haven't seen this yet in the run, but they'll back up out of range, hopefully, to reduce the damage they take, and then try to kind of reposition themselves. So that's your indication that an enemy is low, or they start retreating. Because again, like, if there was another enemy in the board, that other enemy that was healthier would be forward, which means it makes it harder to target and hit the enemy in the back row. So just the big difference there. Let me get some idols here, which will kind of be useful. So, another boss coming up real quick here. 3 more bosses, or sorry, 4 more bosses left to deal with. Stairs. Koduelka having issues with stairs yet again.
Imagine that.
She really just does not like lighting. Yeah, that stone golem is super scary. He's stacked on HP and on strength, so if he hits with a melee hit, oh boy. And
right.
He has a super high chance too with his hits to get knocked back on you, so another reason to be scared of him. Because he could disposition your disposition you. Make it easier to move your characters around. Okay, so before going to this fight, this might be a good time to check that one accessory that we did not check earlier. That star brooch. It is not better than what we currently have on, which is interesting. So it is better than this. That's it. And then we're going to use the mind idols to boost the stats on Koduelka, because her mind was pretty low, and then the agility on Koduelka so that she's hopefully fast enough by the time we get to the final boss here. So those idols are random. How many you get and what ones you get. I think you almost always get 3 though, but which ones you get are completely random. And they are just a flat up nice stat boost item. So essentially think of it like a rare candy, I guess. So we do need to reload the bowgun here. Alright, so the one with the body on it is Patrick, which is James's friend, which is the ex-husband of Elaine that we saw earlier. Well, we didn't see, because we skipped the cutscene. But the main reason we're here. And he's dead, because he performed alchemy using forbidden magic, which is why there's monsters and all this horrible stuff going on, so...
Oh, that miss was not nice.
Yeah, you can miss, which is unfortunate. If the miss was on Patrick, it's because I need to kill the other enemy first before I can actually deal damage to him. So, remember back to... That was an
expected miss.
Yeah, so if you remember back to Alias, how he had the boxes in front of him, similar scenario.
Okay.
So Patrick is immune right now until we actually deal with the other vine there. He also has double the HP and does twice as much damage. James is actually doing damage, holy. We do maybe want to heal Koduelka. Maybe. She took quite a bit of damage there. So James, I bet you go ahead and do that. And you got displaced, so let's put you back in place. Oh, we actually killed it. Okay. I didn't expect that.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't either.
I was actually expecting a lot less of a heal from James because of there's usually a higher disparity difference between the stat difference between James and Koduelka, but it looks like they're pretty close to each other, considering how much we healed her for. Alright, now it's just open season on Patrick now. I also have a lot more bowgun than I usually have at this point. Wondering if But we didn't need to use as much of it early on either. It was chapter 2 when we had the other version of the weapon on Edward. Is more likely where we use a lot of early ammunition. Yeah, so Patrick's slapping Edward for almost, well, at least 800 a hit. So we do have to keep an eye out on that. If he doesn't die soon, we're gonna have to heal Edward. This might be a heal Edward situation here just to be safe.
Yes, he was not taking another hit.
Yeah, he can't survive another hit like that. Too risky. Yeah, because that didn't kill, so.
Unless I missed an attack, it looks like you're at 75-96.
Yes, this still means I have to hit him 2 more times. But bigger heal on Edward, because, again, difference on the magic stats. Yeah, he's low because he backed up. So he's under 2,000. Because it's usually close to around 10% is when they start trying to retreat. So these 2 spell casts should kill him.
I think as long as you do 1,400, this should do it.
Koduelka should easily do that. She's doing at least 15.
Yeah.
She would.
She's
Ideally, I want her doing 2K at this point, but yeah, RNG hasn't been that great.
And that was the weakest of her 3 hits. You had 19, 18, and then 17.
Yeah. So Patrick's down. Now it's just a few more bosses to go, and then we're done. We're really close to the agility level that we want. On Koduelka. The int boost will be helpful. Yeah, I got an int idol, which is super nice. It's getting slapped right onto Koduelka. Actually, I might actually use it on James to even him up a little bit, but I think it might be more impactful on Koduelka at this point.
Especially if she's under-damaging a little bit compared to what you're expecting.
Yeah, slightly. James was doing alright, actually. So, happy about that. Oh, so fun fact, the pendant that I picked up in the middle of, near the start of Disc 3, if you do not have it, you immediately game over here, and, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. So...
Oh.
Yeah, and you lose that item at the very start of the game, in like for opening cutscene, so you don't even realize that you need it as a key item until ever. So that's the fun part about that. You just immediately game over.
So you could just be soft locked here.
Yes, but no. Oh, is the other one on an agility?
It is.
Okay, so that means Koduelka can outspeed the boss. Perfect. He has over 66 agility.
I think she has exactly 66 now, or unless the idol gives more than one.
She should have at least 66, yeah.
She had 65 at the end of those level ups earlier.
Yeah, I think idol gives... I think it's +2.
Oh, nice.
So, opening on this fight, we want to cast Reflect. And then hope Edward survives. We don't care about him. He's just gonna meat shield for us. So, Reflect is gonna do exactly what you think it's gonna do. And we open up on Reflect because if we have enough agility, which is over 66 specifically for this fight, we can get the Reflect off before this big attack that's coming, which he always does at the start. Now, the only problem is I might have to recast Reflect because it will wear off in this fight because our damage is lower. Because she does have a considerable amount of HP right now. So we have to kind of chew through. But having the Reflect up will help make that faster. So it's gonna bounce back portions of the damage. It can miss, unfortunately. And the damage that bounces back is proportional to her HP. Now we can start casting Flare. So we can't do physical attacks to her, because she's immune. So we're just gonna be casting magic for now. This will change on phase 2. She'll be able to be damaged by both physical and magic, but she'll take half damage from both. Yeah, we're gonna come really close to estimate, which is unfortunate, but you know what? It's what I expected. It's Koduelka.
Yeah.
It's Koduelka. This is why I have to pad the estimate with the RNG. Yeah, the farm for the scroll took us like, what, 10 minutes almost?
Yeah, that's good.
And then disc 1 to disc 2 RNG costed us 10 minutes as well. And then we had the 10-minute restart for a to get a run going naturally instead of using the load that I had prepped. Got some beefy damage there on that Reflect.
You're at 8992 damage.
Yeah, so she should be dead in like another 3 or 4k. She's got she's wiggling her little leggies. So, oh, she's dead. Okay. A lot more damage than expected.
Must have missed an attack then, because I was at 9769.
Yeah, she has like 12,000 HP.
Yeah.
On that phase. Before I forget, we should heal here. Just Edward needs to be healed. Away we go. Our damage is not as bad as I was expecting coming into here, because I was expecting more of a huge drop-off. Alright, so phase 2, 50% damage reduction against both physical and magic, but now Edward, I guess I can help with his crossbow here. So, throw up the reflex. Thankfully, we're outspeeding the boss, which is nice. That does technically help us in the long run. So, depending on how dragged this fight goes, we should be done in the next, like, 2.5 minutes. With the game. Yeah, the reflect on this phase specifically is what's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So we need to swap up our magic here. We're going to use Geyser now instead of Flare, because Flare does even less damage than it was before. I don't know why. Just is the case. Yeah, she really cuts the damage in half on this phase.
It does.
This is why we need Edward to help out here. Yeah, getting that reflect off early is huge though, because that's an extra like potentially 3,000 damage that we normally wouldn't have on the opening here. It's not all the time that I get here and I have enough stats from levels to have the agility hit 66 with the stat rolls of the equipment. So at least the agility rolls on our gear rolled high, just not the intelligence value of them. Okay, I'm gonna have to use a Lissel though on Koduelka because she's burning 8 MP quite a bit. She's very, very low. Should be over. Okay, she's running in the corner, so she's almost dead. Good. So she has under 2,000 HP at this point. And our reflex are still up. You know what? I'm not gonna bother Lissling. We should be able to kill her before we need to worry about it. I don't think Reflect Bounce is gonna do enough damage at this point if she's this low. It just very much depends on how much HP she has.
We have like a little over 500 left.
Yeah, James just not gonna be able to do it there, so Edward's gonna have to go for the final blow with a crossbow shot. Because Koduelka's out of MP. There you go. Okay, time's coming up. You have one last phase of the boss to do. Alright, so 3-phase boss fight, as any good RPG could have. Big, huge finale cutscene here. Alright, music changes. Now we know we're really in the final boss fight. Alright, so, we're just hoping for good RNG now. Edwards and Koduelka are dead. Or sorry, Koduelka and James. And that's GG.
GG.
Dear God.
GG. We are done the run. That is any percent. We actually don't do the final phase.
Me now because
We're just not strong enough actually to do this third phase of the boss fight.
my fate. If it is your
It's just plain and simple. We're supposed to be like level
has an ear like
closer to level 60
anyone is to go
and have better gear.
into captivity, he will go.
But yeah, so that's Koduelka.
Sword with the
That was a bit of a train wreck with the RNG, but I mean pretty close to the estimate.
my lot. I have always loved you.
So, anyways, yeah, I assume that we want to get moving along really quickly, but I mean this isn't too long of a cutscene. I guess I'll just shout out. My name is Mash. I run a lot of action and/or RPGs. I've been dabbling with a lot of shmups and rhythm games lately, but I always like to come back and play awesome RPGs like this. I hope you enjoyed this really old PlayStation 1 game. Fully voice acted. Highly recommend picking up and playing it. You might not have an easy time finding this game physically to play it though, because this game is hundreds of dollars. Just gonna throw that out there. It's a very rare and expensive game. But
Don't be silly.
if you ever have the chance to enjoy playing this game, I highly recommend doing so, especially if you like Shadow Hearts games, because this is the prequel and gets everything going. But yeah, I don't know what staff is up to right now or if the next runner is ready, but if not, I will let this play out until they cut me off, and I guess you can also do your shoutouts as well, Desert Eagle, because I keep running into you everywhere. At this point, might as well be besties at this point.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. I'll be on later tonight with Super Mario RPG.
The sun came
But
out. I prefer
yeah, well, thanks for inviting me.
I'm excited for the Super
do
Mario RPG run.
commentary.
That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll see if I can finally get map skip for the first time in a marathon or not.
Probably never
Yeah.
see each other again.
The answer's
Yeah.
probably not, but you know, we'll try
we'll
it
see.
anyway.
Your nickname, Slato? What does it mean?
But yeah, so nice little cutscene here with
Tell me.
Edward and Koduelka after they, you know, do the deed, and she tells him her real name, and he laughs
That's
and rides off into the sunset, as any
treasure.
disrespectful man does.
Huh.
And they never see each other again.
Is it okay, child, for you not to follow him?
Yeah,
So they just bang, and that's it. That's the end of Koduelka.
somewhere.
It's one of two endings, by the way.
All right.
But yeah. Yeah, this is unfortunately the canonical bad ending, I guess. There is the all bosses ending, or like what I call the all bosses route, which is where we actually fight the final boss. And we fight the super boss in that route. I haven't done that route in a while, but like I said, it's another like half an hour to 45 minutes of prep once we get at the end of disc 3. And it's a fun run, but very not fun with the RNG on top of it. So anyways, that's it. Now it's just choir
Does he
music.
stay in the good ending?
Does he stay in the good? Yeah, James gets to stay in the good ending. He gets to go to heaven with Elaine. Everybody else gets the bad ending. But yeah, anyways, now it's just gonna play choir music for the next 10 minutes, so. Yeah, anyways. I'm Mash, and stick around for more retro games on Retro Gaming Live, and all throughout the weekend. Take care, everybody.